My understanding, Brian Trasher, that Nanos has not responded. He needs all the help he can get. So I'm not sure what his delay is. But Brian, I want to ask you a pointed question. I noticed online that the United Cajun Navy is being attacked for soliciting donations. Aren't these volunteers? They don't expect to be paid. So are you soliciting donations? And if so, why?
So no, we've not asked for any donations or posted any donation links the entire time we've been in Arizona. That it's just internet trolls that we get every time we go anywhere. We've also publicly declined that we would take any reward if we qualified for any, or directed to the Center for Missing and Exploited Persons or Children, I think is the name of the organization. No, this isn't about donations. We already have very generous donors that have allowed us to be out in this assessment so that we could submit this detailed 41-page tactical plan to assist in the search for Nancy Guthrie.
What are you offering to Nanos, and what's his problem? Is he out at another basketball game and hasn't been able to respond?
So, we have a lot of volunteers and assets. We have a lot of folks that are very experienced, current and former law enforcement, military, all that kind of thing. Canine dogs, which are extremely beneficial in these types of searches. The first time we reached out just with a general offer, we did hear back from the PIO saying that they were not accepting help from external organizations. So we kind of, after Josh was out there finishing his assessment, we put together a full operational package and figured it couldn't hurt to submit it one more time, just so they would know that, we've come a long way from being just a bunch of guys on boats pulling people off of roofs. We really do have a lot of really amazing assets and capabilities. This time, I don't believe we've gotten any answer at all. I think they've just kind of stuck to their mantra that they want to leave it to the professionals. But we'd like to remind everybody that Noah's Ark was built by amateurs. The Titanic was built by professionals. I'm not sure why we couldn't be a force multiplier for them in this situation.
Guys, with me, Brian Trasher, VP of the United Cajun Navy, offering to help Nanos. This as Nanos is coming under fire from inside his own department. And yes, we could talk about that for the rest of our program, but it really doesn't advance the search for Nancy Guthrie to talk about what went wrong, except really what has been missed. When was it missed? And can it be fixed? But, Brian Fitzgibbons, I want to follow up on what Trasher just said. Brian Fitzgibbons joining us from USPA Nationwide Security. When you don't know a horse, look at his track record. We see Nanos turning down the Cajun Navy. We see him trying to shut out the feds, which was such a bad move, and we lost many, many days lead time on that move before the feds were finally brought in, and now it looks like he's doing it again.
Yeah, and it's important to point out here that a lot of law enforcement agencies simply don't have the mechanism or built to accept what would be very profitable help from the public and resources like the Cajun Navy. And that's disheartening to see. Adding to this, the Pima County Deputies Organization has been tremendously critical of Nanos's leadership in the past year. There have been votes of no confidence, and there's been a mass exodus of talented investigators in the last 12 months. So this has been widely reported by spokespeople from the Pima County Deputies Organization, which is their, unionized body.
And where I'm going with this, Dave Mack, and this is to Brian Trasher from United Cajun Navy, is, this is at 2.5 miles away from Nancy's home. They had originally set up a dragnet, a radius of search 2 miles. And this was just outside that video from our friends at Fox, by the way. If volunteers had been used, maybe that restaurant glove, other gloves, this video would have been found sooner. Now, I understand the problems with chain of custody. You can't hand over video to a volunteer. You gotta hold up the chain, hand that video over to law enforcement. But the Cajun Navy volunteers could have gone from 2 miles out, continued the search, gone door to door, asking people if they have surveillance video, and then letting them hand it over to authorities. I mean, there's so much you guys could be doing and are willing to do. This is just one example. See, we're 20 plus days into it before we find out about that neighbor's video. That is a shame, and it could have been corrected.
Yeah, you're right. And, we work with law enforcement agencies and agencies like the Coast Guard all the time. And what they do is they give us specific grids, say, this is where we want you guys to search. And it's almost always separate and apart from where their own personnel are. So we're not interfering with their actual personnel. They don't ever give us any kind of evidence or things that aren't released to the public. I mean, they have to keep the chain of custody of those things tight. We understand that. But that's the whole part, Nancy, of being a force multiplier, is that you say, hey, this is how far my agency can go. This is where we want the Cajun Navy to start out here. Just like in Texas, after the Hill Country floods, we were working downriver from the Coast Guard and the Texas Rangers, just in case there was anything that got past them. That's how NGOs like us can work with official agencies very, very symbiotically, and hopefully bring